Good morning. We're going to do this a little bit different today. I changed the lighting up a little bit in here. It's a sunny day. Um, my previous video, I talked about when I found out my son had passed away. Um, Now I'm going to talk about what do you do next. Um, but first, I'm going to show you my son. His handsome devil. He was a Army National Guard um, specialist, combat engineer. He loved what he did. Uh, he was he was a special child. I knew that from the time he was born. Now you'll see he has like a little scar on his eye. He had some. He always played with it, so he had gotten some growths on it. Um, when he was born, I had an emergency C-section. I was bleeding out, and it was really bad, really bad. Um, I remember being pushed into the operating room and them throwing something to the side, say, we don't have time for that. And before it was even out, they were already starting to do the incision. Um, when I came to, I smelled onion and I felt like I was an onion. It was the strangest experience. Here, the doctor had been eating a hot dog with onions and he was complaining about his onion breath. Um, I gave my life for my child. And I came I came back, obviously. Um, I remember my husband standing there with this white bundle, and it was so bright. Like there was this big lighted aura to where I had to squint. And I remember being so seriously depressed because when I was out, I stood next to two people, and they told me I had to go back. Um, it was it wasn't my time, and I begged to stay because in that world there was nothing but joy, peace, happiness. You take every good word and ball it up, and it doesn't even describe what you felt. But when I opened my eyes, my first thought was my baby, and he had gotten cut uh, from this traumatic birth, but he thought that was cool, you know. So I don't know if you could. I don't think you could see it in this picture because his head is turned, but that's my baby, handsome devil. So anyhow, I talked about the funeral, making arrangements, things like that. We did a little untraditional. Ian was very untraditional. Ian liked shocking people. Um, his favorite color was green. We all wore green. When the family asked, what do you want us to wear? I said, it's not about me. It's about what would have Ian liked. So we wore, some of us wore blue jeans. Now, I don't know if you're supposed to tell where you live or anything like that, but Ian's funeral was at Lane Funeral Home. And I'm not getting paid to do this, so I'm just going to tell you it's in Ohio. If you look up Ian Patrick Stevenson, it'll bring it up. You can go on the webcast and see his funeral. Um, they were so wonderful. The people there are very, very considerate of the living, not just the dying. Uh, I consider them such a, um, I don't think I could have done it without them. Let's just put it that way. They kept me strong through that whole process. Them and my brother, who drove from Maryland at record speed because Ian was like a child to him. And my brother and I went through some trauma as children together. And we literally are so connected, even though he's 6 years younger than I always represented, that he is my left arm. Um, I'm thankful, so thankful for him. Excuse me. So he and Lane Funeral pretty much tried to figure out what I was trying to say because half the time I didn't know. My husband was in such shock he couldn't even think straight. So we got the funeral completed. We didn't have eulogies. When a child dies or a person dies from suicide and it's not natural, you know, there's no time to talk about what do you want at your funeral, things like that. I did. Come here, Bubby. Sorry, I got a dog, a grief support, and he's important. So anyhow, I didn't want another mother to go through what I went through. So basically, I did his eulogy. I wrote it while laying in bed. I read it to my brother. My brother stood behind me in case I couldn't finish it, so he could finish it for me. And when I was finished, he told me he was very proud of me. And I appreciated that. We had a platoon there. Ian's platoon came, almost every single one of them. There was quite a few young men and women in there. And I was on a mission to not let this happen again. So I gave myself a goal. I was slowly coming out of it. I still didn't really, I was still inside my head. I didn't see what other people were grieving or anything like that. I really, you have to like give yourself a little bit of a break. You know, if people can't give you a break and get mad at you, that's their problem. So I started researching. Suicides in the United States military is very high. It's extraordinarily high. I found a pamphlet about boot camp, and they say they do psychological evaluations, and they make sure the kids aren't too traumatized because, you know, their thing is to break them down and rebuild them into soldiers. I interviewed several about the psychological assistance that they get in boot camp. Every single kid that I interviewed said they didn't do that. Is that really in the booklet? Shock and awe. Obviously they think that, you know, that's not the important thing. One of the things that is so important that military understands is in your DNA. There are lots of things that live there that can get triggered by trauma. Boot camp is trauma to the body, to the mind. They do it on purpose, you know, to make you stronger for what they need you to be for your job. My son went in bright, excited, happy. When he came out, he couldn't even look me in the face. He kept calling me yes, ma'am. It wasn't until we took him into a cavern underneath a cave, we like caving, that he finally called me mom. It was like 3 days after. And I was able to hold a conversation, cried 500 feet, you know, under the earth or whatever, bawled my eyes out. But it was a breakthrough for me. But he still had such a disconnection for me because he didn't, right? I think he knew something was not right. Bipolar runs in my family, pretty bad. Trauma will bring out bipolar, from what I understand. I am no psychologist. I don't pretend to be. I think Uh, I think Ian, I think boot camp may have brought that out on him because that's when his downward spiral started. So back to the funeral. So, or I mean, after the funeral. So now I have to figure out, because I need meaning. I need to feel like a mother. I felt disconnected from being a mother to Ian. I needed to make him proud of me. Use what happened for the betterment of others. So I did a lot of research, and I did talk to the military. They were nice people, and they one of them, I believe it was like the head psychologist in Columbus or something, asked me to check the website. He was sort of like, "Well, we have this website. Go on there. Like, this is the greatest website." Me being me, I did that. Ended up writing a 6-page report about half of the domains didn't even exist anymore. I did find a website, I believe it was the Marines, on suicide, soldier suicide. It was a support group that it was a great website. It was a great website. It was eye-catching. It was everything. It had every component in it that the rest of the military needs. So I turned in this 6-page report, and they basically threw me to the side. They gave me to this woman who said, "Well, we have these volunteers, blah, 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 blah." She was uh, very, very, I'm going to use the word cold. You could tell she really didn't want me there. So she gave me some phone numbers and was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, you call this person." I said, "You know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not in the military. I don't have to play the red tape game. I don't, anything that needs to get accomplished in the military, it's not because of the people that are in the military. It's because of the policies that they have to follow. It's horrifying how slowly things go. And it's got to be, and it's frustrating for me. I knew it was frustrating for Ian, but my goodness, these are somebody's children. This is 2022. Change your policies. These are people that are fighting for our rights to be idiots, our rights to be Karens, our rights to walk out our front door and not have to show our IDs to some, police. This is the people that lay down their life. They laid down their life. They are ready and willing to keep us safe, to walk in front of a bullet for a stranger. So I don't understand why they don't protect them more. Yeah, they do have things that they come out and they talk about suicide and stuff. In my son's rucksack is a little mechanism you put on your gun. It's supposed to give you like 4 seconds of extra thought. Sorry, that's my dog. My dog is a little wild. He still had it in its packaging. It was never used. It was in the rucksack that he threw it in when he had this thing. They're a good concept. It's a great concept. It's almost a joke. One of the things in the military that is used against you used to be if you were found with any kind of medical issue or mental issue or anything like that, you were booted right out. These kids, they eat, sleep, breathe being a soldier. Getting kicked out to them is life-ending. That is a lie anymore. They have changed that, and I love that. Some of the upper military actually push for these kids to go see therapists. All of them should. Which one of us don't have some kind of issue? If you're in a situation where you have to pull a gun on a stranger and possibly kill that stranger dead, staring him in the face, you should be in therapy. There should be a regular therapy session at every meeting. There should be regular, they do dental checkups, they do physicals. Where's the mental checkups? It should be a one-on-one with a therapist at least every 6 months. At least. There should be an open door policy that, this is not held against you. Now, I know there's some severe cases of mental issues, but for those that are just starting into depression or something to that effect, I believe there should have been more. But that's beside the fact. Ian was an adult. He made his decision, and he chose to take his life. He chose not to talk about his problems. He was embarrassed. He was proud. He was afraid. He was afraid of the consequences, not just in the military, but in the rest of the life. So I decided not one more child was going to go through this. Not one more mother or father was going to go through this. So I found a different route. I talked to everybody constantly. I still talk to some of the young men in my son's platoon. His best friend just got promoted to sergeant. Congratulations, Seth. At that moment, I included him in my family. Not just as a family member, but I decided to be his, he has a mom, and his mom loves him, but I decided to be a second mom to him. So I make sure, especially him, because he was my son's best friend. I keep tabs on him constantly. I got the in with his girlfriend, and I plan to keep it that way. You learn from your mistakes, and that's what you need to do. If you have other children, you need to start learning now. If you have one person that commits suicide in your family, your risk of it happening to someone else in the family is very high. So my nieces and nephews, I keep tabs on some of them, because I'm so afraid of this happening again. It scares me. I'm not going to lie. It's a huge fear of mine. So I started working on that, and I realized I really wasn't working on the issue, which is great. Thankfully, God figured out that what I was doing, and I got a phone call from a therapist, an old therapist of mine, who watched my children grow up. She knew what I needed and got me in touch of probably the world's most best grief therapist you'll ever see. You can't have him. He's mine. He is kind. He is quiet spoken. He understands so much more than you think. Some therapists are no good. They're judgmental. They have this God complex. This man is not. He's very humble. He has dedicated his life, his whole entire life, to helping others. And when I say that's rare, I have health issues, and I see many, 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 many doctors, and they really don't look at you as a human being. And it's sort of almost like, I swear every doctor should work at Walmart, because they need to connect with their inner self and the people around them more. They are very antisocial, very impatient, rude, no manners, none. There are a lot of them out there. There are a lot of good doctors out there, but there are a lot that have the God complex too. And I understand that you need that when you're making a decision on life and death, but to become so disconnected, I feel sad. because people need compassion. So I started into grief counseling with my husband. Um, we, on the outside, presented ourselves to look very, very put together. But on the inside, we were still in shock. We honestly really didn't come out of the shock stage until like a year after Ian passed, which was just recently. But on the inside, we both cried at night in our sleep, cried during the day. Well, we were afraid to let our other adult children leave the house. Panicky, feeling anxiety, a lot of anxiety. These are normal. Forgetting to brush your teeth, believe it or not, normal. Not brushing your hair, taking showers, simple things that everyone takes for granted is so difficult. So once again, I remember something my mom had said when I had first gotten very sick. I was diagnosed when I was 5th grade with an immune disorder. And in 2000, I started getting seizures really bad. I also have severe arthritis. It's one of the side effects of one of the medicines that I have to take. I'm in pain almost all day long. It's something you get used to, but yeah, something that is really difficult. On top of that, I'm an abuse survivor. I have severe depression issues, and now I'm fighting this. So one of the things my mom had said is do one thing a day. Pick a thing, anything. Dishes, wash them. Don't put them in the dishwasher. Use your hands. Occupy. Because for that 15, 20 minutes that you're cleaning or doing a project, you're able to take a break from your grief. So I started doing those things. And then came along Ian's child. His baby mother has severe mental issues, and she lives in a bad neighborhood. So we had invited her into our home. I did let her know that I am not going to do the drama thing with her. She started living at our house. I looked away when she started stealing Ian's clothing because I kept thinking, maybe, then when Camden, my grandson, grows up, he'll have his dad's stuff. I looked away when she wasn't taking care of the baby. It was a good sidetrack for me. So I started taking care of them. I've been taking care of children since I was 8 years old. My mom left when I was 8. My brother was a year and a half. My sister's older than me, but she's got severe bipolar. It manifested in 4th grade for her. At that time, I wasn't showing any signs of anything that I know of. What I didn't know is I do have OCD. It's a weird OCD. It's not about keeping things clean or, stuff like that. It's a protection mode. I can't stop protecting the people that I consider in my realm. So at 8 years old, I actually had a job. I cleaned cigarette butts out of lava rocks at a Frank's Party Shop down the street from me. Burnt boxes, broke them down, burned them. I got $5 a week for doing that. I came every 2 weeks, and I bought a loaf of bread, a jar of peanut butter, and these little package of cookies. They were like the generic version of Oreos. They were almost the size of a regular pack for 25 cents. I hid it in my closet, or it was in my brother's room. In his closet, it was bigger, and you could hide things. That way, my sister Teresa, my brother, and I, we had things to eat. My father didn't really. The only time he paid attention to us is when he needed to beat us. He needed it to get excited. So we we needed to eat. We needed to survive, so we did. I figured it out. And I wasn't good at it. I was only 8, but I did the best I could. So I apologize if I get off track because I do that quite a bit. My mind gets a little scattered. So here I am taking care of Camden. And it was a good sidetrack for a while. But in the quiet, you remember. In the quiet, you think. In the quiet comes the agony. I'm only going to say one more thing before I'm done for today. No matter how long your child or your loved one's been passed, if you're still grieving, you have every right to cry. If you're on a train full of strangers and you need to cry, cry. If you're at work in a meeting, excuse yourself and go cry. If someone doesn't understand, then they're just assholes. Excuse my beep, beep, beep. Then they have never grieved. Give yourself permission to cry. It's so very important. It's so very important because it's okay. It's all right. I'm telling you it is. It's okay. It's all right. I can't get out this video.